Hey friends, Camille White-Stern here for another episode of Checked In with Splash. So today is another solo episode because honestly, I feel like I'm just catching my breath and coming out of busy season with back-to-back events from third-party conferences to our owned events. I have so many learnings and I really wanted to distill them not only for myself and my team, but for other marketing and event pros out there so we can continue learning and iterating and getting better together. So consider this my first field notes entry, if you will, where I'll be sharing reflections on inbound, Dreamforce, and the general state of IRL events today as I see them. So, okay, just quickly stating what I hope is obvious here. So very much has changed about the way attendees, buyers, community members, insert whatever you want to call your target audience, wants to engage with brands and with each other. So naturally, everything about how we as marketers conceptualize and market and execute events has and will continue to change. To make this episode just a bit more digestible, we're not going to try and boil the ocean here. I've consolidated my top 3 observations from the field as it relates to what attendees want and expect and need today, plus my top 5 tips for maximizing your company's presence surrounding a conference or field activation at a third-party event. So let's get checked in. Okay. First, here are some of my hot takes on what attendees really are commanding today. I don't know if this will be a total surprise to all of you, but first and foremost, perhaps a deep understanding of who they are, their schedule, what's important to them, and a deep understanding and acknowledgement of the precious appreciation for their time. I'm going to take that last sentence again, editors. That was a little wonky for me. We'll take it from. So let's get checked in. Here are some of my hot takes on what attendees are really commanding and demanding today. First and foremost, a deep understanding of who they are. That means their schedule, their interests, and an acknowledgement at how precious their time really is. We have to convey that we appreciate and understand what an investment it is that they are making when they choose to not only register, but show up to your event in real life. My second observation, and just to be clear, I don't think that first observation is necessarily groundbreaking, but I just cannot stress it enough. It is absolutely expected today by attendees that we understand as marketers who they are and what they care about, and that we are delivering experiences that effectively communicate that we understand all of those things. Okay, so my second kind of major observation is the need for curated networking opportunities, particularly around a larger scale third party event or conference or trade show. A lot of attendees are looking for opportunities to network or build community organically. But, I've heard a lot of people talk about this engineered serendipity, and that is so very important here. That is a crucial element that we as marketers need to take upon ourselves and figure out how are we architecting for that serendipitous community building, that serendipitous networking that's going to happen at your event. Spoiler alert, it's all intentional. We cannot leave so much up to chance. As an event organizer, when you center experiences around the goals of your attendees, you'll be able to more easily meet the business goals of your event. So in this case, for third-party events, for large conferences and trade shows, many of them are looking for that, really deep networking and community building opportunities that we have to build for them ourselves as the event marketer. And then my third and kind of final observation for now, I'm sure I'll be sharing more as time goes on, but really, when it comes to wraparound events at conferences and trade shows, micro events are winning out. So whether that means you're hosting your own VIP lounge that is steps away from the conference or convention center, or you're hosting a VIP dinner where you are targeting attendees that are attending the conference, really that, and maybe it kind of relates to my previous point, right? That curated networking and community building experience are a great way to attract better ROI from your third party. Sorry, extract better ROI from your third party presence. You'll, I guess, in theory, you are attracting the ROI as well, but I actually meant to say extract here because I think that word is really important. There are plenty of theoretical ROI opportunities when you decide that your company is going to have a presence at a third party event. It is your job as the event marketer to unearth and harness those opportunities in a meaningful way. So, those are my top three kind of general observations. I purposely didn't get into tactics because I am going to save that for a whole other episode where I kind of surface up some of the most interesting and impactful tactics that I've seen event marketers use in the field this year. But let's switch gears and talk about suggestions and ideas for maximizing your third party event strategy in general. So, first and foremost, I hope this is obvious, make sure the goals are clear, crystal clear, and they're clear to everyone involved. So for B2B marketers, that probably means marketing, sales, CX, and maybe even product, depending on how your revenue org or go to market teams are structured. So let's pause there and deep dive for a second. How do you actually set these elusive, concrete goals? Well, at Splash, we have specific pre-booked and on-site meeting goals that we set. And from there, we use our standard conversion rates to establish opportunity and revenue generation targets. We are setting those pre-booked and on-site meeting goals based on the number of people, whether those are prospects or customers, that we anticipate being able to connect with on site. And there are different ways to get that data. You can look at historically, maybe, if your company has been investing in a certain conference or a trade show year after year, you could look at historically the number of meetings pre-booked or meetings held on site that your team was able to, kind of log. Or you could get non-historical data to your company. There are different ways you could do that. You can research yourself. It might take hours. There are tools that help you get better third-party event data. One of the tools I'm using right now and our team is using is called Vendalux. But there are other kind of ways that you can comb the internet, comb social media sites, ask your network, poll your customers, and find out where those opportunities might be for your organization. And then once we have a good sense of, how many meetings we need to log in order to generate a certain number of opportunities, in order to win a certain amount of revenue, then we can establish rep-based goals. And we do that based on the number of reps attending and our overall investment dollars-wise into the event. So these are all really important factors that are going to help us set appropriate goals. There are a lot of key inputs that should be informing how you set goals for your events. And these are some of the key inputs for third-party event goal setting. I think a final suggestion here is just making sure that you are drilling down, as I said, and you're not just setting goals for your revenue organization or your go-to-market teams to accomplish, but for actual individual reps. They should know, are they supposed to be logging 10 to 15 meetings with qualified buyers per day, or is that number 20 per day, or is it more like 5 per day? there are going to be certain factors, as I said, key inputs, the size of the conference, the number of reps that you're sending, the amount of money that you're investing into the presence, your company's presence. That should all inform how you make these decisions. Okay, so first and foremost, got to set clear goals, and your revenue team needs to be clear on what those goals are and what they are responsible for. Okay, so let's talk about responsibility and accountability a little bit more, because this comes up all the time. The second pro tip here is you must be coaching to a playbook. You must be coaching your reps. Marketing, sales, CX, revenue leadership in general should be coaching their reps, their direct reports, to follow the playbook. If you don't have a third-party event playbook, you need to create one. It's just as simple as that. And it needs to be cross-functional. It needs to outline expectations and action items with SLAs and due dates for marketing and sales and CX and leadership. Let's not forget, this is not just for ICs and reps. This playbook will force leadership to get on the same page. It's a really good forcing function if you don't already have that alignment that you're seeking. I would also really encourage you to, because you need to reach that alignment, bake in time for revisions and iterations of your playbook. So right now, we are iterating on our third-party event playbook on a quarterly basis. That means every quarter, after every single third-party event, we're gathering feedback, we're gathering insights, we're gathering learnings. We are literally leveraging those to update and iterate our playbook. Then revenue leadership meets to make sure we are aligned on the changes being made. We, decide on the period of time we need to test these changes to determine whether or not they're effective or not. And we're just doing that, rinse and repeating on a quarterly basis. And we have seen our results improve dramatically. So I can't urge that enough. I think going back to goal setting, outlining your goals is a key step to developing that impactful cross-functional playbook. So you really can't, excuse me, I'm getting tongue-tied, because I'm so passionate about this, but you just cannot skip the first step here of making sure you have alignment and clarity around goals. Once you do, you will build your playbook in order to achieve those goals, right? The third step here, the third pro tip, is to make an on-site game plan and do this before you get there, right? So this is for your team. This means a detailed run of show or a timeline for each day that your team is going to be on site. And spoiler alert, you cannot skip this step either. This is so critical to success of this program. So don't try and do it once you get there. As I said, plan ahead for this, do your research of the agenda, ask past attendees or sponsors what their experience was like at the conference or event if you've never been, or if you don't have that historical information or data at your organization. And get as much intel from the conference organizer as you possibly can if you are an official sponsor. Ask about things like what the conference floor room layout will be like. There are so many little tidbits of information that you can gather in order to make sure that your team who will be on site has the most information possible in order to craft an airtight game plan. So, you want to make sure that you are having a game plan, not just for the team, right? Okay, we're going to meet here in the morning and then we're going to meet here in the evening. You need to have, for the team, you need to make sure that your individual reps have a personal game plan for each day. Do they know the target accounts that they are attempting to connect with, speak with, meet with for each day? Are they pacing towards their goals, right? If they have a goal of speaking to 5 to 10, top target accounts per day, they should be checking in with you daily and letting you know how they're performing. But it's really hard for them to know how they're performing if they don't have a game plan going into it from the get-go, right? Okay, and then also this may or may not be obvious. Don't assume that your individual reps, whether they're on sales or marketing or CX, doesn't really matter what their department is. Don't assume that they will inherently know what their game plan should be. You may have to co-create that with them. So don't be afraid to get into the weeds, kind of, in a compassionate, supportive way, you can put them on the spot and ask them to walk you through their game plan. I've been doing that. It's been working really well. Okay. And then, of course, related to game plan, you must lead a kickoff meeting. I recommend doing so at least 4 weeks prior to the event. And then an additional know before you go meeting that can happen 1 to 2 weeks before your team gets on site. This is really, again, critical. You have to drill home certain information, even if you've repeated it. You need to say it again, overstate what the goals are, double underline their need for a personal game plan every day. The kickoff meeting and the know before you go meeting are really important touch points for your internal team before you get on site at an event. Don't sleep on those. Okay, number 4, when you're at the event, at the conference, at the trade show, schedule frequent team huddles for your on-site team. So at Inbound and Dreamforce, what worked really well for our team was doing a morning and an afternoon huddle. These touch points go a long way in achieving and maintaining that on-site team alignment that you need. There's so much going on when you're at a conference. You're having so many different conversations with people. There are, even if you have clarity around what the goals at hand are, there are different ways to approach achieving those goals. So there's just a lot going on, and you need to keep everyone in touch and aligned and rowing in the same direction. One specific way that we did this on site at conferences, again, specific to Inbound and Dreamforce, that worked really well for us. We are a very Slack heavy organization, more so than email. And, I did not want to run the risk of my on-site reps getting, shall I say, maybe distracted or pulled into another conversation or something in Slack. So we actually ended up spinning up a group text message, and every on-site rep maintained that text message updates, not even daily. I mean, like every 15, 30, 45 minutes, we were getting updates from all of our reps after every single conversation. Hey, I just spoke to the VP of marketing at this organization, or I spoke to the, excuse me, woo, just swallowed the wrong way. Let's take that again. Sorry, editors. Okay, so one tactic that worked really well for us at Inbound and Dreamforce this year was actually not solely relying on Slack. We are a very Slack-heavy organization at Splash. We use it more than we use email. And I really didn't want to run the risk of having my on-site reps be even a little bit distracted by anything else happening in Slack that was not relevant to the goals that we were trying to achieve at this conference. So we spun up a group text message, and it was so amazing to have all of our reps updating that group text. I was seeing text messages come in every 15, 20, 30, 45 minutes. Hey, I just spoke to this person. They're the VP of marketing at this account and company. They're interested in a demo. Or, hey, I stopped by this booth. The person I was hoping to speak with wasn't there. I'm going to circle back tomorrow. Having all of those updates basically in real time was so valuable for the on-site team, as I said, to be able to maintain that alignment, make sure we're not, talking to the same person 5 times if we don't need to. We were able to work more efficiently together and actually log a significantly greater number of meetings than we had previously before we implemented that kind of group text message update, if you will. Okay, so the one thing I will say with the group text updates, I love them. I think we'll probably keep them going. But as I said, we're still a Slack heavy organization, and I didn't want to lose that connection, that communication connection between what was happening on site for the team and what the rest of the revenue team or the rest of our organization needed to know that wasn't on site. So what I would recommend if you're going to test out a group text update situation for your on-site team at your next third-party event, definitely designate one on-site team captain to relay periodically, either once or twice a day, updates from the group text into, something like an internal Slack channel that is, relevant or specific to the third party event or the conference that your team is at. This is a great way to keep the rest of, as I said, your revenue team members in the loop, and also your leadership team can stay in the loop more and really see that progress happening in real time. It was really great to see our CEO, like using Slack emojis, the little fire Slack emoji to just respond to updates that I was sharing. It's also a great way to give your on-site reps shout outs in real time, especially for your hustlers who are just crushing it. You want to give them that praise and that feedback in real time because it motivates them to do more. So, okay, my final pro tip, again, for today, if it's not obvious, I could talk about this for hours and hours and hours. So I could go on, but for the sake of brevity for this episode, I'm going to wrap it up with one final tip, which is to keep the lines of communication open and keep them going nonstop with your non-on-site team members and leadership. So this kind of relates to my previous point about designating an on-site team captain. If you are going to do the on-site group text message updates, make sure that person is relaying those updates through another channel that is more accessible to more people in your organization. One, this is going to speed up the ROI results by accelerating post-event conversations. Two, these daily updates can empower team members not on site to take meaningful action and even set up key plays post-conference or trade show. Like time is of the essence. We don't have time to waste. If you have hot leads or really, really fiery, hot conversations with prospective buyers at a conference or trade show, you don't want to let too much time pass by before you are capitalizing on that momentum and encouraging them to take a next step in their buyer journey with you. And then, I would say, again, this might be obvious, but leveraging tools like Splash, Salesforce, Slack, make sharing these kinds of updates super easy to manage. And don't be afraid to send a simple bulleted list recapping meetings logged from each day. Reporting can feel overwhelming at times, especially if you are the program owner. You want to accurately report on all of the success. I want to encourage that, and you should be doing that in a timely manner. Sometimes, if you need to, you can just send a quick bulleted list update. Here are the 50 accounts that we connected with today, and send a Slack message, or send an email if you're an email heavy company. But as I said, leadership will just love to see that progress in real time. You can give that praise and shout outs to top performers on site in real time. I don't want to undervalue the thorough post conference or post event reporting process. But even it will help your post event reporting process if you're keeping track of those kind of daily or twice daily updates to the rest of your revenue, organization, and leadership team. So, as I said, final tip, just keep the updates going, keep the lines of communication open, pass along hot leads in real time if you can. These are my top 5 tips so far for maximizing your presence at a third party event. Like I said, I got a lot more where that came from. So expect another episode probably, or maybe 2. I don't know. This might need to turn into a series. But thank you, friends. These are just some of my thoughts and observations from the field. As I said, I would love to know from your perspective, what did I miss? What have you noticed from your own experiences? I would love to hear from you. You can consider this an ongoing conversation, and you can reach out to me actually via LinkedIn. You can search for my name, Camille White-Stern, and give Splash a follow while you're at it. If you enjoyed this episode, which I hope you did, you could think of this as your... Oh, let me take that again. Sorry, editors. Alrighty, y'all. Hopefully, this episode serves you as you think about your own third-party event strategy and find ways to unlock event-led growth for your organization. If you're hungry for more content like this, subscribe to the show so that you never miss another episode. You can subscribe on your preferred podcast platform. And if you're already a fan or already subscribed, we would love for you to give us a rating. Ratings not only help other listeners find this show, but it's a great way to support us and the ongoing content that we are serving up. So thank you so much for the support. Give us a follow, give us a rating, tell your friend to tell a friend to tune in. If you don't know, at Splash, we're on a mission to help the world's leading brands grow their business through everyday events at scale. And if you're curious to learn how we do this exactly, visit our website at www.splashthat.com. And until next time, take care, folks.